Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first ever Rubber Chicken Comics Presents A Year in Review. I'm joined by Jay Pillarella, Joe Medeiros, owners of Rubber Chicken Comics, and tonight we're going to talk about the craziness that was this year in comic books. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. So guys, I'd like to start the show off by talking a little bit about the changes that the shop has faced this past year.
It's actually been pretty huge. We've been around for the past 12 years in this plaza, but over this past year I took on a new partner, Joe Medeiros, and we decided we needed a bigger place. We had so much stuff in the store that we were like, we have to have twice the size. So we actually found a place twice the size, and now you're looking at it.
So it's no secret that you guys have hosted a couple events this past year. One of them was Free Comic Book Day. How'd you guys do?
It was huge. It was our biggest free comic book day ever. Joe was actually in the 501st, the Star Wars trooping garrison, and so he actually made his re-debut as a stormtrooper this year. We had the most ever free comics to give away. We had pretty much, I want to say, the biggest attendance that we've ever had. I want to say we probably had close to about anywhere from 300 to 500 people came through the door that day. Just one of the best days we've ever had.
So from what I hear in the grapevine and via Facebook, you guys are producing your own comic book. Is this true?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Joe's actually an incredible artist. He's been an incredible artist in his entire life and finally getting back into it. Why don't you say a little bit about what we're doing?
Yeah, what really started the whole thing was when we did kind of hook up between Jay and I, and we were kind of trying to reimagine what the store was going to be about and what it was going to look like. And so, I mean, the first thing was, of course, the logo, so we kind of redesigned that and incorporated a space chicken.
We needed a mascot.
Yeah.
You have to have a mascot. Every store out there has a cool mascot. And we actually came up with a cool mascot, and literally we said, why don't we have the adventures of Ace Chicken Space Chicken? This seems the most genius thing to do whatsoever.
I've never seen a chicken in space before, so...
Right, you've seen pigs in space. No chickens.
No chickens.
No chickens. So when did you start drawing, and when did you decide that you wanted to be an artist?
Actually, that happened early on. I mean, I was, as far back as I can remember, I was always drawing. I kind of got out of it in the mid-90s when I had kids and, career and, raising a family kind of took priority. But last year, I mean, my kids are older now, they take care of themselves. And so it was just that, it was that kind of that point in my life where I just said, I don't need to be, holding their hands anymore. I can start doing the things that I used to love when I was younger. So I started getting back into it, and Jay's kind of really the one that kind of pushed me into the good direction that I wanted to go.
You're still able to do it. You're still wicked young, and as soon as I started seeing his art, I'm like, we should be doing something. I mean, huge about this. He's just, I mean, one of the best artists I've seen around, and we have lots of customers here that are actually artists. They do amazing things, but as soon as I saw Joe's work, he can mimic anyone. First of all, he's got his own style, but he can mimic anyone. And I'm like, this is what we're gonna be doing. I used to write for a TV show that I used to do a long time ago, so I really enjoy writing. And Joe's like, well, why don't you write something and I'll draw something? I'm like, genius, let's do that.
So comic book fans all over the world have been blessed by this summer, the summer of comic book movies. We had the Avengers,
Woo!
the Amazing Spider-Man, The Dark Knight Rises.
Hell yeah.
What did you guys think of the Avengers?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think the Avengers had absolutely everything you wanted in a comic movie. It had every single one of the characters that they had started doing when they started. Let's say about 8 years ago, when Iron Man came out, and even Hulk, when Hulk came out, and boom, it comes together in the Avengers movie. Right here, right now, the biggest explosions, the best storyline, just the biggest heroes, icons, just sitting there in your face. There's Thor, there's Iron Man, there's Cap. They're together. There's the Hulk, for God's sakes. It was awesome. That's my take.
Yeah, I thought it was an awesome movie. On my side of it, I was a little disappointed in some things, but other things really surprised me, so it kind of balanced out. And
So what were you disappointed in?
there was Captain America. When he was by himself in his own movie, I thought he was awesome. In this one, he just kind of irked me a couple of times. But
He was just coming into his own.
Oh,
He was frozen for
he had tons of time to
years.
get into his own.
On July 3rd, Sony came out with the Amazing Spider-Man. Did you guys feel that it was too soon for a reboot?
I didn't think it was too soon at all because honestly, while I love the original movies, the movies themselves were great. I could not stand Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, and I thought Kristen Dunst was the worst Mary Jane ever. I thought J. Jonah Jameson was perfect. I even thought Harry Osborn was perfect. Even Norman was just great, but Tobey Maguire and Kristen Dunst just were horrible.
So you got Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone as Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy. Did these two fill in the roles that needed to be filled to make The Amazing Spider-Man amazing?
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was a great retelling of. Unfortunately, with the reboot as it is, they have to come in and they've got to give you the storyline again. He's got to get hit by the spider again. That for me, it took almost a little too long. But I understand because they really wanted to actually get in there and say, all right, this is the new beginning. We kind of want to go past the trilogy, hopefully, so we might as well give you the actual, the background story right here and now. So I think with them in there, it took a little while to get used to them because you got to sit through this background story again,
Yeah.
But once you're used to them as the characters, which it happened pretty quick. Just the background story was long, but I thought Emma Stone was perfect.
Yeah.
I thought Garfield was great. He's just so much more of a geeky kid, but more realistic to today's geeky kid rather than Tobey was, because I don't think Tobey was realistic at all.
And finally, this summer, we got the epic conclusion to Chris Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. Christian Bale as Batman, Tom Hardy as Bane, Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. Do you feel as though that this movie put a solid cap on the entire trilogy?
Yeah, I'm not going to... Obviously, I'm not going to do any spoilers here because anyone out there might not have seen it. I'm going to be shocked if anyone out there did not see it, though. But anyone that has not seen it yet, I'm not going to spoil it. But I personally think that it was a great ending. It actually wrapped everything up for me for Nolan's universe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to look at it in that way. This is Christopher Nolan's universe as Batman. It's not the DC universe Batman. It's not this is Batman from the Justice League. It's not. It's Christopher Nolan. That's his baby, and I totally understand that, and I respect that because this is what he wanted. Later on, I want to see Batman in the Justice League, but for now, with Christian Bale, Anne Hathaway, I think she did an amazing job. Tom Hardy was actually really good as Bane. I'm not gonna lie. Couldn't hear half the stuff he was saying, and that was kind of a pain. I mean, what are they doing there? They really couldn't... Imagine how many retakes they actually did. Just voiceovers. Tom was probably in there so many times just doing voiceovers. It's ridiculous.
We were blessed with this awesome comic book movie summer, which we were also blessed with a great comic book movie, just comic book summer together. We had Avengers vs. X-Men, and I guess I'll start off by asking whose side you're on.
Honestly, I'm not really on either side whatsoever. I mean, if you asked who I liked better, I like Wolverine from the X-Men better, but I like Cap from the Avengers. But I mean, it doesn't really matter whose side I was on. If I was gonna take a side, I'd take the obvious side and I'd go with the Avengers because really, are the Avengers gonna be in the wrong here, or the X-Men? The mutants, the outcasts. Who's gonna be in the wrong here?
Absolutely. What about you, Joe?
I've been on the Avengers side since the beginning. That's my team.
Yeah, those are your guys. So, how do you feel about the storyline thus far?
I've loved it. While I think they made it too long, 12 issues is just far too long of an actual series. I think they could have gotten away with 6 or 8, tops, something like that. I think they've actually, had some of the best battles we've seen in years in this book. It's a good storyline. It's a good, solid storyline. Everyone knows the Phoenix. Everyone knows that the Phoenix is coming to Earth. Everyone knows that something bad's gonna happen. And then when it actually happens and bad stuff happens, some people are like, I can't believe that happened, but everyone else is like, we told you it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's your basic comic storyline that you almost want to say it's predictable, but it's not. It's something that you expected to happen. That's eventually going to happen. As a comic book fan, you know that's going to happen. So you're like, what's the outcome going to be? What's going to happen next? Who's going to die?
Keeping everybody on their toes.
They really do.
So everyone knows Image Comics is producing the Walking Dead, AMC's hit TV show, which is smashing records and blowing minds ridiculously. So Image has hit the 100th issue of The Walking Dead. How do you feel about that, and how have your customers felt?
Customers love it. Walking Dead sells on par with Marvel and DC, and that's shocking because this is still an independent book. Mm-hmm. And independent books never sell that kind of... I want to say that for the month of, July, that Walking Dead was one of the highest selling comics out there. That's unheard of. You add in the most unbelievable, TV show, that adaptation that they've done. First season, great. Second season, blew you away because they give you all the character development, and then they showed you all this ridiculous gore and zombies. Then people start jumping on the comic book, and they're like, well, this is a comic? Like, yeah, this has been a comic for over 10 years. For like 10 years, I'm like, yep, check it out. So they start reading, they're like, this is even better than the actual, TV show. And then they start picking up, trade paperback after trade paperback. And then the issue number 100 comes out, and people are just blown away by it. We actually had a issue number 100 release party that at midnight when it was actually put out, and it was wild. Everyone came down, had a great time. We were watching season 1. Everyone was buying all the different covers. They came out with, I think, like 7 or 8 different covers. All the different top artists from Image were jumping in there, from Todd McFarlane to Frank Quietly to, I'm looking over here to actually see him. I think Ryan Otley. There's a bunch of different ones.
Yeah.
Awesome covers.
Yeah, I saw that the Chrome, was it the Chrome cover?
Yes.
Sold out. I got the actual last issue here.
That night it actually sold out. It was crazy here. That was a specialty. Anyone that actually made the trip down here to Rubber Chicken Comics at midnight that night was gonna get a special deal. And that's what they got.
Yeah, it was a great turnout. It's good to see. I want to talk about the artwork in actually The Walking Dead, which is actually black and white. And Joe, as an artist yourself, would you rather see color or black and white in?
It actually depends on the genre. I mean, there's some comics out there that come out in black and white that are just spectacular, and I love them. There's others that come out in black and white, and you go, it's really not working. But the same could be said as far as a color comic book as well. That where just the way that it's colored, it just doesn't feel right, and you'd like to see that in a black and white. So, I mean, it really, there again, depends on, like, the genre and who's drawing.
I think with the horror aspect, black and white is the way to go.
Yeah, definitely.
It brings something to the actual book, something different that you almost expect there to be color. Like, after it gets famous, it's big now, so, all right, well, now we're going to put our issues out in color. But no, they never actually reverted to that. And they haven't even ever said, they're like, okay, now we're going to start making them in color, which eventually they will, but they still haven't done that yet, 100 issues later.
Which is great. I remember picking up the first trade here when I found out that the TV show was a comic book, and being surprised that there was it was black and white, no color. Let down at first, but a couple pages in, I was hooked, and it's fantastic. The artwork is unbelievable, story's unbelievable. Robert Kirkman does an amazing job as both a producer now and a comic book writer.
Yeah, he really is one of the best writers out there.
He also does Invincible, which, from what I hear, is one of your favorites.
It's my absolute favorite. It came out, I want to say, right around the same time. He's been writing books for a long time. It's your basic storyline about a kid who grows up and comes into his own and becomes a superhero, and it has the best twists and turns that go on from there to the most intense, ridiculously insane, just fights and battles, the bloodiest, crazy gore fest that you've ever seen. It comes out of nowhere, really.
Well, that's all the time we've got here at Rubber Chicken Comics for the first episode of Rubber Chicken Comics Presents. Joe, Jay, thank you. I'm Justin Hebert. I want to thank you guys for watching, and as always, keep reading and keep supporting your local comic book shops.
And check it at the chicken.